So before we begin, I just want to shout out my patrons: Dudley Reiner, Crimson, Consular, 10, Nude Banner, Damakus Whitewood, Jonah Rodriguez, and Ariel Kersey. I'm very much grateful for your support, and if any of you want to support me on Patreon, you can always find the link in the description below. Hey guys, I'm Naya, and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we're doing the best decks tier list, even though, you know, I feel kind of horrible still. And it is going to be a long video, but I came prepared. I have a lot of tissues. I have a cup of tea out of my beautiful Cyrus mug. And yeah, I think I'm ready to sit down with you and to talk about the best decks and to do the tier list. It's been, I think, more than a month since the last one, and Tactical Masters got released. A lot of events happened, so we need to address all of that, and we need to see if any shifts happened on the tier list. So we have 90 decks. I just keep adding more, and we have 90 decks to go over, so let's not waste any more time. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. You always love to tell me your thoughts and opinions, and I love reading them, even though we disagree sometimes, but I still love it a lot. So yeah, let's just go. The first one is going to be ABC, and in my opinion, ABC is Rogue. Cannot be tier 2 anymore. It was at some point, but it really fell off. It's struggling with consistency, and overall I think any deck with the addition of the Tyrion cards is just became worse, because we sort of as a community realized how much the Tyrion cards are just not it. Like, they can be so bricky, and they don't give enough of a boost to any deck, I think. So Rogue for ABC. Then Adamantia, I think I'll put it in like at the bottom of Rogue. I don't think it's that bad, because it's still a quite decent combo deck, but without Block Dragon, they cannot do anything in my opinion. They were a deck that really got the most out of Union Carrier, Link Cross, O-Lion, and also Block Dragon naturally. So like, they just can't do it without those cards, I think. Then we have Adventure Dragon Link. In my opinion, Dragon Link is still tier 1, maybe a bit lower because a couple decks are going to go above it, but I do think the deck has incredible potential, and it's only going to get better with the Vice deck cards and all of that. I think it can only go up from here. And as for the Adventure Engine, I don't think it's getting touched. At least in a huge way. I mean, like, it might go to like a semi-limit with Water Enchantress or Right, or both, but I really don't see big hits coming, so yeah, I think that's fine. Then we have Adventure Synchro. So I think I'll put this one in tier 1 as well, but also a bit on the lower side, because none of these decks really lost anything. Obviously, we didn't have a ban list or anything, but people just started picking up other ones. And I think Sprite and Tearlament are on such huge, like such high power level, that immediately these decks seem worse, where in reality they still do the same thing. Scythelock is still very, very strong. Like, if you don't have a Droplet or something, if you're not really prepared, or an Impermanence, and with the decline of hand traps, and even Droplet is not that heavily played, maybe in like a Tearlament deck if you're afraid of Abyss Dweller. But, you know, besides that, I think the deck is still fine. So, yeah. Then we have Agent. I think let me think. I think I'll put Agents in Rogue for now, but I will put them quite low. I don't think they are that great. They showed some kind of potential, but with, you know, like I said, with Sprite and Tearlament being that dominant, immediately a couple decks just slipped down the tier list because they can't really hang with the best of them. So then we have Altergeist. So I did Altergeist dirty in like a lot of these tier lists. I just didn't think they are as strong of a trap deck, but the European Championship really proved me wrong, because like Altergeist with the addition of Mystic Mine, now that's something else, and I think I'll put it in tier 2. I think it's a very like fair contender if you're able to use Mystic Mine, and like I said, I think I was doing the European Championship recap video, and I said that the deck list, the Altergeist deck list that made it like all the way almost, is very well thought out and really well built, and that's just because they played the perfect cards for this meta. And when you have a deck that can fit all of this in, it immediately becomes at least a tier 2 contender, in my opinion. Then we have B-Trooper. It's just not good. It used to be fine with DPE, and right now I wouldn't say anyone is picking this deck up. Also Blackwing, again, not good. Like, Darkwing Blast might bring a couple things for Blackwing. They might become better, but still, without that, right now they are most definitely not good. Then we have Blue Eyes. I don't know. Blue Eyes, in my opinion, is just bruh. Like, I don't see Blue Eyes doing anything. It's just way too slow, way too power crept. And any kind of support that it gets, it just doesn't push it anywhere. So I don't think it should go higher, because if you take a deck that like keeps receiving support that's not enough, then that's saying something. So then we have Tri Brigade. So I don't think I have any other version on this current tier list. So this Tri Brigade is going to represent any kind of version there is. There's Bird Up, of course. You have even Scareclaw variants. There's Sprite variants as well. I think Tri Brigade is a tier 2 contender. Below Altergeist though, but I do think it has very high potential with Sprite. Like I said, it's very interesting, and just the ability to be paired up with many things on top of being able to run hand traps and stuff like that. I think it's fine, and it's not exactly rogue, but it's not higher than like a lower end of tier 2. Then we have BA. BA is no, I don't think BA is good. I will put it at the top of not good because it's still doing the exact same trap BA thing. I think this is the sort of best version, I guess, because like trap cards are, you know, they are not that great by themselves. I think trap cards are just, or overall trap decks and stun decks, all of that just became much worse with how fast the entire meta is right now. I don't know. I think not good is fitting. I'm sorry, like, it has been out for a very long time, so at this point I think it's fine and not good, even though almost everything is at full power. Then we have Cyburst. Cyburst is rogue. It's just a fair rogue contender, I think. Like, a lot of times people don't really know how to go up against it, so this is like an advantage Cyburst has, I mean, like, because it doesn't necessarily lose to like one hand trap. I think because you're not actually removing bodies, if you're not using those kinds of hand traps, they can still, you know, link and get to like Splash Mage and get to even more bodies. And I think this is really nice in some rogue decks where, like, I think the Shark deck is also a really good example of that, because if you're not necessarily removing stuff, they can still have a bunch of other effects and just go on and on. So yeah, I think it's fine. It's not better than rogue though. And the access code ODK is like really sweet if you're able to seal off the game like very fast. Then we have Crusadia. I think I'll put it at the bottom of rogue. I do like hear about different versions being played, but I still don't see any higher potential than just it being rogue. Then we have Cyber Dragon. So I did see a Cyber Dragon Sprite deck from YCS Niagara Falls, which was really interesting. I will put it in rogue. I think over here. Let's just move this a bit. I think I'll put it over here, but keep in mind that this is the Sprite variant. Without the Sprite variant, I don't think a deck like this is enough right now. It can put up a couple things, but I don't know. I think it's way too power crept to be put any higher. Then we have Dark Magician. I think I'll put it in not good. Like, it can go a bit higher, like it can go to the top of not good, but I still don't think it's good. Like, even though they are getting support, like I said with Blue Eyes, at least the Dark Magician support seems like it's giving them something. But even like without the support, with the support, doesn't really matter. I don't think they're any better than not good. Yeah. Then we have DDD. So DDD fell off quite hard, to be perfectly honest. I will put it in a rogue, I guess, maybe even below Cyber Dragon, because with the Sprite stuff, Cyber Dragon seems cool. But DDD is like, It does a lot of things. It does a lot of plays, and it's really hard to pilot to end on a, I don't want to say subpar board, but I don't think it's that great. And like the chap card is nice and all, and the support, I think it was great support. For a specific archetype, the support was amazing, but it can't perform with the best decks. Loses not that hard to Dark Ruler, but still quite hard. And I don't think it's a contender you should really be afraid of, just because, like I said, some decks are way overpowered right now, and it's also very hard to pilot. So like, let's just move this higher as well. Okay, let's switch it up a bit. So like this, I think is fine. And with, like I said, you know, with it being that hard to pilot, then you end on a board that's not even that rewarding. So yeah. Then we have Despia. So Despia, I think, is just a very solid tier 2 contender. I mean, Despia sometimes still scares me. Like, it's really, really strong, you know? And they didn't lose anything with the lack of a ban list. It never got touched, but it didn't really need to get touched in the first place, probably, with the new decks that started trickling into the format. But still, you know, it has everything. Branded Fusion is still an incredibly strong card. So I think Despia is a deck to look out for. Like, at this point, it's pretty much solved almost. So you probably know how to play against it. And, like, of course, loses hard to cards like D-Barrier, which people still side because of tier limit. So that's why I think it's tier 2. It went down a tiny bit, but I still think it's strong. Then we have Dinos. So I don't think Dinos can do anything without Miscat 3. I think I'll just place it somewhere in Rogue. Like, there are some things going around, like the Dino FTK, and there's a couple things. Maybe let's move it like this. Let's I don't know. Like, the FTK is really annoying, and with people not playing that many hand traps, it's probably easier to establish. Let's just leave it here. It's Dino. Like I said, without Miscat 3, I don't think we have anything to be afraid of. And then we have Dinomorphia. So this one's interesting. I think Dinomorphia can go in Rogue, but probably not that high. Like, it's a trap deck that's still worse, in my opinion, than Eldritch and Altergeist. So yeah, I think it's fine over here. And with the new Labyrinth deck, I also think that Labyrinth is better than Dinomorphia, so I don't think it's fair to place it any higher. Then we have Chudracos, and they are just bad right now. Like, Chudracos cannot do anything without more cards, without, like, Dragonic Diagram, a masterpiece. Like, yeah. Dragon Maid. So I think Dragon Maid is Rogue, but probably, like, down here next to Adamantia. I don't know, like, Dragon Maid just seems like the plays that it makes are not enough. Yeah, you end on the, like, the fusion, but that's almost it. Like, maybe spheres or something. I don't know if anything changed in the Dragon Maid deck, but from what I know, it's just does the exact same thing, and the board can be broken quite easily, I think. So not really a threat. Dragoonity, I'll place somewhere down here. They're not doing anything. They're not posing any kind of threat. They're almost not a deck, let's be real. Like, if something in the Dragon Link deck gets severely hit, and I say this on every single tier list, if something gets severely hit, we might, like, turn to the Dragoonity side of things to, I guess, replace a couple things in the Dragon Link deck. But without that, with Dragon Link still doing as well as it is, Dragoonity is not going to see any kind of play. Then we have Drytron. So I think Drytron is a tier 2 contender, and Drytron is, like, it's really nice. I think for a combo deck, like Drytron, Dragon Link, naturally tier limit, but tier limit is way better. But those combo decks, I think, are still quite hard to counter because they are played in so many different variants. So yeah, I guess Joel is cool, but who's really siding Joel? It's not bad, but your side deck is probably tight to the point where you can't just put in cards that would be really good against a very specific thing, like Drytron or, well, Flunder. You have a couple, like, applications, I guess, with Joel. But yeah, like, because people don't really don't really get prepared for it enough, I think Jaichon can really shine. It's also, I don't want to say old, but it is quite an old deck. So some people might not even know how to play against it, what to expect, what to disrupt. And yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's fine. It doesn't really lose to Dark Ruler that hard because if you play the Magic-y version, you have the trap as well. So like, I think it's cool. Also the space where you're able to play board breakers, like Judgment was never really like that great in my opinion to put hand traps in because you would have to play a lot and you don't have that much space because you're really reliant on your engine. So right now when board breakers are much better, immediately Judgment becomes better. So, and then we have Earth Machine. I would just put this in Rogue. I think the deck is really nice. Like, I think if you're not really prepared or if your deck struggles against specific floodgates that Earth Machine can easily play, then I think you're going to have quite a hard time. But yeah, I don't think it's harder than Rogue though. Then we have Outlich, and let me think for a second. I'm tempted to put Outlich in tier 1. I don't know. I will put it in tier 1 for now. Maybe quite low, but I think Outlich is really nice right now because it can be paired up with Tier Limit if you want. I've seen that version. It's looking really nice. And overall, Floodgates. Floodgates are incredible. And like even Mystic Mine can be played in the deck if you want. So sort of like an Altergeist deck, but I still think Outlich is better. So yeah, tier 1, like tier 1.5 if we had that tier, which I don't do. I might start doing it. I don't know, not sure yet. But yeah, I think Outlich is really, really nice due to it being able to run that many floodgates that just shut off the meta. And you can play like very specific trap cards in the main deck, because why not? If you know sort of the decks you're going to be going up against. So yeah, Exodia, top of bruh, as per usual. It's Exodia, we love Exodia, but yeah, it's just bruh. Now Exosister. Let me think, because I'm sort of suspecting I might put this in like a controversial tier. I don't think I'll put it higher than tier 2, honestly. Like probably somewhere over here. I don't think it's that great. I don't think the deck is that great. D-Shifter is nice and all, and overall, like, the banishing is amazing if you're going up against a tier limit deck, or maybe some other decks, but for the most part, I really don't think Exosister is such a threat. I might be wrong, but I didn't really see potential in it, and I still think it shouldn't go higher than tier 2. So, I don't know. I think it's fine like that. Then we have Flunder, and I think I'll put Flunder in like the top of tier 2. Yeah, top of tier 2 I think is fine. It's not exactly tier 1 because it's struggling with consistency a lot, but it's still doing pretty much the exact same Flunder thing. D-Shifter is really nice. You're trying, you know, to be as consistent as possible with all of the pot cards, but even without that, it's struggling sometimes. So the quick play spell card I think is amazing. This is a really nice addition to the deck when it got released as like a late support. So tier 2, not much to say about it. And then we have Fluffle. So I think I've been doing Fluffle dirty as well. Like, it's probably Rogue, even though I don't think it's that great, but let's put it over here. Like, I think it's nice. Yeah, next to Agents I think is fine. It has OTK potential. It can go first as well. Like, the deck is not bad. It's just kind of, I don't know, probably not better than this. Then we have Paleozoic Frogs. So this one is not good. It's so funny because, where do I want to place it? Let me just decide. So let's place it over here. Yeah, like this is fine. It's interesting because some trap decks are just much, much, much better. So like, even though this is a trap deck and you're able to play your Paleozoic stuff, which has very specific applications, and then you also go into Toad, which is great right now, but still, it's not enough. I think if you play Paleo, then you have to play different Paleo names. Immediately, you don't have that much space for other things, and then you have to play the monsters as well. And yeah, Toad is cool, but there's really no, I don't know, it's a trap deck by itself is not consistent enough to where you will always establish a monster presence and back row. So I think by choosing a different trap deck, you're better off than playing this, if that makes sense. I'm getting sweaty because I'm drinking the hot tea. But it's really helping my throat, so it's fine. We're gonna power through it. And then we have Goki. I think Goki is still rogue, but it's quite low, like maybe over here, like below agents. Yeah, it's just, it's not that great. And I realized that like warrior decks, they're strong by themselves. Like if you go uninterrupted, I'm sure you can build a really nice board. I love Goki Rematch. I always say this, the card is busted. But without that, like, it's just funny. Like power creep is a thing, and just better combo decks are around. And I remember there was a point in time where all of us sort of were discussing how Isolde might get banned because it's just a busted monster. But it never happened. You know, it's still around, and power creep is just way too strong. So yeah, going uninterrupted, a lot of these decks would probably be higher, but it's just not the reality of the situation. And if you go for a deck like this, or like an Infernoble also is a really good example. I'll put it, actually no, I'll put it lower because Infernoble really can't do anything. I'll put it over here. So both of these, they build like monster heavy boards, and with Dark Ruler and stuff like that, like you're not gonna do anything, I think. So yeah, Hero. I think Hero is rogue. Hero has always been just a solid rogue contender in my opinion. I'll put it over here. No, actually, I'll put it higher because I think that with Dark Claw and Tearlament, I think Tearlament can struggle a lot. Like if you don't open perfectly, if you don't open a Dark Ruler or some kind of way to get rid of Dark Claw, I think you're going to struggle quite a bit. So with that, they have a Hero Lives at 3, which I think is an amazing addition. And I've also seen like versions with the new hero stuff from like Power of the Elements. I think it's interesting. Like I don't think it's the best version, probably not. It's kind of gimmicky, but yeah, like I think Hero is fine. I think Hero is quite okay. Not better than Rogue, but it is a solid contender with Dark Claw being that strong right now. Then we have Atignister. I think I'll put it at the bottom of tier 2. It's one of those decks with being a one-card combo has a lot of space for hand traps. So right now, I think there are sort of two camps. Like if you're going for board breakers, that's fine. And you can play a big engine and you can do whatever. But if you're playing a deck that you want to run hand traps in, you probably need to have a sort of one-card combo engine. Like Sprite is also a good example because it has engines small enough to fit a lot of hand traps, and Atignister as well. Like you need to play at least 15. If you're going for a hand trap version of a deck, you need to play as many as possible, and with Atignister, I think that's possible. I think that's doable. So bottom of tier 2, I think it's fine. And it has seen some tops, so it's like, it's all right. Then we have Infernoid. I just keep this one. I don't even know why. I just keep it because it's so not great right now. Let's, I guess, place it here. Just because I always like to have it as an example of just power creep and how some decks just really fall off. Oh, I'm sorry. And then we have Invoked. So I think Invoked, like realistically, is top of Rogue. It's so interesting to see how it just slipped down the tier list as years went by. But yeah, like at this point in time, if you're normal summoning Alistair, yeah, cool, it's a Mekaba, but that's not enough, I think. Like there was a point in time in which normal summon Alistair was scary, and I don't think that time is now. So it has like, it can be played with so many different things as well, but like you would probably rather play Dispia or even Tearlament if you're going for a fusion deck. It's not enough. And yeah, I also don't think a mashup works. So then we have Cosmo. I don't know, bottom of not good. I'm quite nice in this tier list, I think. I'm putting stuff higher than just bruh. Usually I'll just stuff a bunch of things in bruh. But yeah, Cosmo is just bad. Let's place it here. Then we have the Kraken control. So I mentioned this a bit. I think I'll place it in Rogue. Over here I think is fine. Like I said, you know, it's an interesting deck, but it is lacking a couple things, and it should not go higher than Rogue. Also, like, it loses Heart to Dark Ruler and doesn't really have that power to continue after that, I think. Then we have Labyrinth. So this one is really interesting. I wasn't sure what to think of it when it first came out. I don't know. I think it's Rogue, and I'll place it quite high because I think it has very strong potential. If you play correct trap cards, I think you are going to be doing very well, especially against something like Sprite, because you're removing a lot of things. I played against the Labyrinth deck yesterday, and I wasn't that familiar with it at the beginning, but then I realized they just remove a bunch of things. So immediately, like, it occurred to me that against Sprite, that must be great. And also against Tearlament, I think it's quite okay. Like, I think it's quite a fair matchup. Like, obviously, Labyrinth is worse and it's not better than Rogue, but with the new stuff from Darkwing Blast, I think it's going to get much better. So let's just leave it here and see, like, next month what's going to happen. We're not getting Darkwing Blast yet, though, are we? By the time I do a tier list, we'll see. We'll see how I do it. But yeah, then we have Libromancer. So I think Libromancer is a Rogue. I think it was like, it seemed interesting for a short period of time, but then people just kind of dropped it. I think I'll put it like next to Dynamorphia, maybe. Should I place anything higher? I think this should go higher. Other things I think are fine. Fluffle, Libromancer, maybe a bit higher. But yeah, I think still, if you're playing a Richo deck, just play Drychan. It's going to be much better. So yeah, Live Twins. So this is not the Sprite variant. This is only the like regular variant, and I think I'll place it like maybe over here. It's very similar to Attic Nister, has a lot of space for hand traps, but I don't think it's as strong as Attic Nister because Arrival is just insane and you need to deal with it in some kind of way, and it's much easier to deal with like Trouble Sunny, obviously, and like a Pop. So yeah, I think it shouldn't go higher than this, but this is only the pure version, so we're not discussing the Sprite version yet. Sprite and Tearlament are just going to be discussed like separately. I didn't put every single version on here, but we're gonna talk about all of it. And then we have Lunalight, and it's definitely not good. Like, Lunalight without another or 2 copies of Tiger is not going to do anything, I think. Like, it's fun and all, probably, if you're going like for a couple fusion routes, but without that, I don't think it's great. And also, we're not discussing the Tearlament Lunalight version. This is also going to go in the Tearlament category, so. And then we have Madolche. It's just Rogue. Like, Madolche is one of those decks that, like, if it gets going, it's quite hard to stop because you need to survive to then almost OTK. And the trap card, like, everything that Madolche received when it received support some time back was great for the deck, I think. But still, it's a power creep deck, in my opinion, and like maybe here next to Cyber Dragon. Or no, let's put it a tiny bit lower. Like this entire row up here, I think it's like okay contenders, especially if you pilot a strategy that you pick up out of these ones, like to perfection. I think you're quite hard to beat. But still, if someone just plays a much better deck, I don't think you're going to be doing that well. So there's that. Then we have Magical Musketeer. So this one is interesting because I first thought that it might be played with Runic because you would like activate it in the same column. and all of that, but I didn't really see any kind of versions with this because Runic is just much better with just Mystic Mine, so just focused on milling or focused on being played with Sprite as an engine. Even Tearlaman could play it as an engine, but yeah, without that, Magical Musketeer is just quite a bad rogue contender. I think I'll place it somewhere down here. Yeah, I don't think it's better than this. Then we have Grand Maju. I don't know, I'll place this in not good. Like, it has 2 desires, but such a going second deck right now, I don't think it's going to do anything. Like, boards are just much stronger than it. Everything that decks establish. I don't think a going second deck like this should be consistently winning, or could consistently be winning. Then we have Marincess. So I think Marincess is tier 2. Let's just place it over here. Yeah, I think this lineup is fine. I love seeing Marincess do well. It's just, again, one of those decks that with support, it just became better. And I think they're doing such a great job in the recent years with that, just giving support to decks that... Sorry, I'm sorry. I need to... So, so I think they're doing a great job. And Marincess with support is cool. But I do... Like, if the link you make at the end is not made with Crystal Heart when you have the field spell, I don't know. I just don't take them that seriously immediately. Like, I think they are so easy to beat. It just might be that I've been up against Marincess players that, I don't know, I just got lucky with, like, drawing Super Poly, because they lose to that quite hard if they don't only put up one thing. So there's that, and overall, just going through a board with like this one link that has a bunch of stuff attached, it doesn't seem that scary. And it does play a lot of hand traps, so like in theory you are probably surviving, because if you survive, you have so much follow-up and so much recursion overall through your monsters. So I totally get why it's doing well. I don't know, I haven't really struggled against it yet, so we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. So Mathmech. I think Mathmech is for sure tier 2. Is it higher though? Again, I would need like a tier 1.5. Not deck, like row, tier. I think I'll place it over here. Yeah, I think all of these are tier 2. And then the other ones are just a slightly better. Actually no, like if we're going by representation, no one is realistically playing this deck, and Mathmech should probably go higher because it's consistent. It can play Small World, it can just annihilate Sprite quite easily. It's also fine against Tearlaman. It's not that bad, I think. If you're playing hand traps and you know how to disrupt the opponent, I think you should be fine. So let's just place it a tiny bit higher. I think Mathmech is cool, and it's seeing a lot of play, a lot of representation. Mech Knights are not strong at all. Like, sadly, Mech Knights just cannot do anything. It's like one of those decks that I think really deserves a support. Like, if you ask me right now which deck should receive support, it should be Mech Knight. They should receive something. They should be doing better than they are, because they're such an interesting mechanic, and like, I just feel sad anytime I talk about Mathmech because it's not doing well. Then we have Melfi. So Melfi, this version is pure. And pure, I don't think is good. I think I'll place it somewhere over here. But again, there is a version with Sprite, which is much better, I think. So you really need to think about like which version of a deck you're playing. But realistically, I don't want to place this in like Rogue and call it like Sprite Melfi. Because if you're playing Sprite, I doubt that you're playing Melfi in it, because there's a lot of, at least in my opinion, there's a lot of better stuff. So pure only down here. Mermail, I don't know, like Mermail is, I'll put it in Rogue. Over here, let's say over here. I'll put it over here because, yeah, next to Lamantia, that's fine. They're both combo decks that are slightly worse. So Mermail I think is cool because with the, I forgot what that one is called when they look at your hand. that one is cool because you're able to play around different hand traps and stuff. And also when they make you discard stuff, if you have some kind of going second card, which Dark Ruler is quite okay against them, I think, then they might discard it. So immediately, if they discard like 2 cards, you're going up against a full board almost with like 3 or 4 cards in your hand. So if you like hand trap them or something, so it's a bit tougher. But going second, I don't think they really stand a chance, so they shouldn't go higher. Then we have Monarchs. They're just bruh. They're Monarchs. They're so old and so funny, but like, yeah. And then we have a Pure Mystic Mind. Now, I usually put it in bruh because I despise it, but let's realistically input it somewhere in this tier list by how powerful it is. So I think I should put it in tier 2. I think I'll place it like, I don't know, somewhere over here, I guess. It's still tier 2, and I'm only putting it there to say, like, you need to be ready for it. At this point in time, you probably know you should be. But if you look at the winning deck list from YCS Rio, like, they came prepared. So I think you literally, like, need to familiarize yourself with, like, the Mystic Mind build and just be ready what they might play, because it's such an annoying deck. Like, if we don't get a ban list and mine gets touched, I don't know. Like, I was always the advocate of like keeping mine at 1, but even this seems like not such a good idea at this point in time. It's so prevalent, and yeah, people play outs. And when you're up against the Mystic Mind burn deck, where like they put up a bunch of Mystic Minds and just protections for Mystic Minds with Dark Bribes and the Solemn Judgments and all of that, like, your outs are not going to do anything. So then we have Necros. Necros is bad, like, sadly, because it used to be an interesting deck. I don't even know why I said sadly. I don't really like the deck. I just think it's like one of those old decks that would deserve some kind of support, maybe. I don't really like them though, so I don't know. I guess it would just be cool to see because there's a lot of Necros lovers out there and just ritual summoning people. But yeah, I don't think they are. Yeah, next to Chujeko is fine. And then we have Numeron. Numeron, I'll just place in Rogue. I think there's still an OTK deck if you want to play them. I don't know. I think agents are a tiny bit too low. Let's just place them over here. That's better. So let's continue. Ojama is going at the top of bruh because we adore Ojama and we added it to the tier list. Orcust, I don't think is good because they don't have a harp. And without harp, Orcust cannot do anything. Yeah, let's place it like next to Chijeko, I guess. Hopefully we get harp. I think our Orcust players would deserve that, honestly. And then we have Plunder. I'll place it in Rogue. I think Plunder is fine, especially with Adventure. It's quite interesting. People don't really know how to play against it at times, I still feel like. With the different attributes and all of that, I think like you're really dependent on your opponent, but if you're good enough of a pilot, I think you should be fine. And then we have Pendulum. So I think I'll place it in not good. Like, I keep placing it in not good. It's really not that great. Like, we might be placing it a bit higher if we get when we get the Draco Slayer stuff. But without Electromite, like in the OCG, it's way different. They have other things, but over here we don't have Electromite. We don't pretty much have anything. So I don't think Pendulum is like. Oh no, I ran out of tea. So this is like the last drop. And I bumped my head. I'm a mess, but I love doing this video. So yeah, I don't think Pendulum is fine or anything without Electromite. So sadly. Then we have Phantom Knights. I think I'll place them in Rogue. Let's just decide where. Maybe next to Live Twin. Yeah. Because literally there's no representation. Like, there is no one playing Phantom Knights almost and like seeing some kind of success, or even like there's not enough people for like Phantom Knights to even be represented in like a pie chart or something. It's just going to go under other if you're playing it. It's a cool combo deck, but it loses hard to Super Polymerization, and Even the fog blades, like, I don't think are enough for you to just negate something, even if you lose to super poly or like a dark ruler or something. I don't think the fog blades are going to carry you, and yeah, your end board is just going to get broken anyway. I think in this current point in time, in this meta, I don't think Phantom Knights are a good pick. Then prank kits. My beloved prank kits need to go quite low because they're not good. Let's place them next to Dark Magician. I think they're usually down here. Without Meow Meow, no one's gonna pick up this deck because you need to have polymerization in the colors, and this is just way too RNG, I think. Yeah, then we have Psyframe. Bruh. I think I'll place them in bruh. They're just so lame to me. Like, you can pick up some cards to like play like Gamma, Epsilon, stuff like that, to just use as side cards, but a deck itself, like, I wouldn't play it. Then what do we have here? So I think this is Puncterian. I'll place it in Rogue. I'll place it at the top of Rogue. Like I said, pretty much everything I said needed to be said. Is that an... Yeah, I think that was a good expression. So everything I've said has needed to be said about this. Hopefully you know what I mean. Everything I said about Tyrion is pretty much everything that needs to be said about this deck. Tyrion is falling off, and you're probably better off playing a pure Punk deck, or just Punk as an engine in other things. So yeah, just in my opinion, Tyrions are not that great of an investment. Speaking of pure Punk, I think I'll place them like over here. Let's decide actually. Let's place them here. I think pure Punk are still okay. People aren't really picking them up. Okay, let's switch it up a bit. Like this, I think, is fine. Because Ultrageist actually was seeing some kind of play. But I think the deck is still okay. I think it's still strong. Maybe people are a bit more used to what it's doing. And at the beginning, when it was like having success, it's because it was an unexpected contender and people didn't really know what to do. But I think right now it's quite established. So then we have Red Eyes. I'll place it next to Blue Eyes in bruh. It's just a really bad deck, I think. Then we have Rika. So I don't have Sun Avalon like separately because I just think nobody is really playing Sun Avalon with Tyrions anymore. They're just playing the Rika version. So this is like representing the entire Rika Sun Avalon plan deck. Basically, it's just a plan deck. And I will place Rika in... I think I'll place it in tier 2. Yeah. I think I'll place it in tier 2. I think it's fine in tier 2. It's very strong, but it's quite hard to pilot. It has a Mystic Mine out, which is really cool. It can play Mystic Mine, it can play Rivalry. Honestly, should I place it a tiny bit higher? Maybe bottom of tier 1? I think it's... Yeah, I think bottom of tier 1 is fine. I think it's a very, very strong deck. Then we have Runic. So honestly, like, Runic should probably go in tier 1 or 2. I'm not certain, because if you're playing it with Sprite, this is like a Sprite variant. So the mill variant, let's put it in tier 2. It's annoying to play against it. It's just a weird mechanic. Like, I've never seen anything like it, and I think it really catches people off guard. It's still getting explored. I think Mystic Mine is what really is pushing it further. So if it does get banned, people will probably just play it as an engine. But looking at this, looking at Punk, looking at even Adventure, like, we have been getting so many engines in the recent times just released where you can pair them up with other things. Like, ever since Invoked, I don't really think this was a thing. Like, we didn't get that many engines. I might be wrong, but I think this is like a quite new addition to the game in the recent times, like I said. So it's cool to have. And it's good to have those cards to include with, I guess, Sprite stuff, or if also tier limit stuff, if you want. But what I wanted to say is, I think people are forgetting to skip the battle phase. I've seen a lot of things like playing against people, and just people don't really remember that. So the cards are nice, but they are not that busted. You need to skip your battle phase, and if you don't, you're going to be forced to skip the next one available because you didn't actually But this is like, I don't even know why I'm explaining this in a tier list, but like, you need to skip your battle phase. You need to actually say, I'm attempting to go into the battle phase for it to be skipped, because if you don't, it's not considered skipped. So you're not getting your next battle phase either. So there's that, just something, a quick thing to keep in mind. Then we have Salamangreat. I think I'll put Salamangreat at the top of Rogue. I think it's falling off just because there's other Cyberse decks that are better. I would rather play Marincess, even at Ignister. Yeah, I think they are quite power crept right now. They were quite an interesting pick a couple months back, but I don't think so anymore. Then we have Scareclaw. I think Scareclaw is cool. I think I'll place it in like tier 2 actually. It can be played with, we have seen a giant card winning deck with Tearlament. So I think that's really interesting. It can be played with Tri Brigade. It can also be played pure. I don't think it's bad, honestly. I think tier 2 is quite suitable for it. Shadowr, that's just the pure version. I think it's really bad. Similarly to Paleozoic, you know, you just have a couple monsters, you have a couple trap cards, but it's not doing enough in comparison to other things. Then we have Sky Striker. I think I'll place Sky Striker in tier 2. It's obviously really cool because of Mystic Mine. It's much better than what it would be without Mystic Mine. So let's just put it, I guess, next to Tri Brigade is fine. Sky Striker is pretty much like, you know, Mystic Mine Turbo. If you're able to play it very well, and if you're able to like play with Mystic Mine very well, I think you're going to be doing fine. Also because you have enough space for as many hand traps as possible. So if you have enough of them to realistically draw about 2 in almost every single of your opening hands, you are going to be able to stop the best decks, because a combination of 2 hand traps is almost always going to net you some kind of advantage. So pair that up with Mystic Mine, which is going to get you a lot of cards, but it's just draw power at that point. So I think the deck is fine. Not higher than tier 2, but I think it's fine. Then we have Speed Droid. So I guess I will just, I think I'll place it in Rogue, like somewhere down here. I don't think it's better than this. It is interesting and it has potential, but not without like extra terror tops or stuff like that. So then we have Sprite, definitely tier 1, and let's just put Tearlament here as well. I think Tearlament is still better. Sprite is consistent, and Sprite has more streamlined lines of play than Tearlament, but I still think Tearlament is better because it has such a high ceiling, and RNG is very much present. But we need to talk about what's actually happening, and there's a mashup of Tearlament Sprite. I did not put this separately over here because like I just want to discuss all of this. So if you're actually listening to the video, then you know. If you just skip to the end, then you might be confused. But yeah, Tearlament Sprite together with Punk, together with Dangers, it's like becoming a thing, and I think the ceiling is so high, it's insane. You don't even lose to Dark Ruler if you set up Smashers. You don't even need to play a huge Sprite engine, you can just play Jet Smashers. You don't even need to play Punk if you don't want to. With Sprite, you're able to play runic stuff in it against Sprite with like Brigade, Sprite with Cyber Dragons, Sprite with, what else, Melfi. It's insane because both of these decks are so strong on their own, they are so strong mashed up, and they are actually pseudo engines to be paired up with other things. Like, the meta is quite wild, I think, and I think it's also a format where a lot of people are going to say they hate it because the power levels of those 2 decks are that much higher. But on the other hand, you know, those engines are able to boost some other ones that otherwise probably wouldn't be doing that great, like Cyber Dragon and Melfi. Those are great examples. So, in my personal opinion, I think this format is okay. I don't think it's the healthiest, but there's no format that's like incredibly healthy, or there hasn't been one, I think, in the last couple of years. And also, I think just a couple problematic cards would need to be addressed. And I think we should be quite okay, because they're not getting hit right now. I think it's way too soon. And then we have Spiral, and Spiral is not really good. Without Master Plan, they don't really have anything to do, I think. Then we have Stun as well. Like, it's just, I think I'll put it in like Rogue, maybe at the bottom of Rogue. Because if you, obviously, you can get like one cheesy win per match, I think, if you have like this perfect combination. But it's also one of those decks, again, trap decks are not consistent. Yeah, you can play like Extravagance, cool, draw 2 cards, but it's not 100% guaranteed you're going to draw into something that's actually going to keep you alive. And like, yeah, okay, you put up like Inspector Border, maybe, or Thunder King Ryo or something. People still play like Dark Ruler. They're just going to Dark Ruler you and just run through your board if you don't have enough back row presence. So overall, just power creep happened to trap decks, pretty much. Also Subterror, like Subterror is cool, but it's again not that strong. Let's place it like maybe next to Stun. Let's just place it next to Stun. Or should I place it low? No, I'll place it lower. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll place it lower. Is there anything I should maybe change? I think this is quite high. Let's do it like this. I think this is fine. So Sword Soul, I think Sword Soul is like tier 2. Over here maybe, like next to Brigade and Sky Striker and Exo's sister. Over here I think is fine. Yeah, Sword Soul just fell off. There's not much to say about it. It's almost rogue at this point. Like, if you're going second, that's why I'm putting it higher, because I think going second, it has a lot of potential. But going first, you just build this board that's not that strong. And Blackout is nice, but it's still a bit awkward at times. If this is like your only thing, if you maybe get Dark Ruler or something. Yeah. Sadly, Sword Soul fell off quite hard because it was a cool deck to see perform well. But it did have quite a lot of playtime. I mean, it's not even 1 year yet. But I do think it's one of those decks similarly to Salamangreat. So keep that in mind. I might be wrong, but I think it's one of those decks where if you keep it, if you don't get rid of it, there is going to come a format in which it's going to be nice. Because nothing got hit. The deck is still full power. Tinias are incredible. Like I said, it has strong going second potential. But right now, it's just not the time for it. So you might want to like put it in your drawer, let it chill there for a couple months and take it out later and see. So Synchron. I think Synchrons are not, let's place it at the top of not good. They have so much potential. Like, you're able to do so many interesting things with Synchros and just obviously Synchro summoning, Synchrons, I should say. But they don't do enough. They're like one of those combo decks that like do a bunch of plays, a bunch of things to end on subpar boards. So it's sad because it would be cool to see. Thunder Dragon, let's place it next to Horcrust as per usual. I don't think Thunder Dragons are okay. They are seeing play with different like versions, different engines, but I still don't think without Colossus they do enough. Like Thunder Dragon Titan is fine, but it's not enough to end on this and like an Appaloosa and maybe some other thing. You're just going to get just blown out completely, losing to Dark Ruler or something. So yeah. Then we have, okay, so I think we need to scroll and like put the goated away because nothing is goated yet. I think tier limit is very close to being goated, but with the RNG and everything, I don't think it should be. So Trap Tricks, no, I don't think Trap Tricks are okay. Let's place it a tiny bit higher. So next to the other trap decks, I think those are quite on the same power level. Trickstar as well reminds me of like the trap decks and Shadow and stuff like that. Not great at all. And then I added the Umi control deck. So I don't know. Let's place it in it should probably go in not good. But I didn't want to add it because it is a deck. So yeah, let's place it over here and let's move this a tiny bit lower, actually. Yeah, I think this is fine. So the Umi control deck, I think is interesting, right? And this new monster is quite cool, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that great. Let's do it like this, maybe. Then we have Unchained. I'll place this in Rogue. I think Unchained is fine. It's not that strong, but it's just a very solid Rogue deck. Like, I think when I think of Rogue decks, I just think of Unchained. like the things Unchained does, I think is like very fitting for the rogue category. Then Utopia, no, this one realistically, I don't know why I have on this list still. I'll just place it very low. No one's literally playing it. Like, it was quite hyped up, or maybe even this is an exaggeration when it came out, but nothing really came out of that. Then we have Valiant. So I added this one as well, and I'll just place it in not good. Valiant is just where do I want to place it, actually? Probably somewhere down here. It's just so confusing, and it's just so odd, and I think it would need a lot of support and something to like make it better. I don't think it's strong at all, and it just confused me when I read through it, and yeah. And then we have Virtual World. This one is rogue, in my opinion. Probably like over here next to the Phantom Knights. With Adventure, you can play it. To me, it was kind of weird with Adventure. It's struggling with consistency a lot. Chucha is cool. You're not losing heart to Dark Ruler if you put up like Chucha, which is cool. You know, you can play hand traps if you want. So the deck is just, its real struggle is consistency. So it shouldn't go higher, and no one's really playing it. Then I added Weather Painter as well, because I heard it had some kind of okay successes in the recent times, and I think I'll just place it in Rogue. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting contender. Let's place it next to Fluffle. Maybe over here is fine. World Chalice is just going in the broad tier. I keep it in here because I like it a lot, but it's also one of those decks that would really need some kind of cool support. To me, is like one of the best memories of like a deck doing well still when World Chalice managed to win the YCS. I think it was a YCS. Yeah, I think it was a YCS. And it was amazing to see. The combos were so cool. And I remember like sitting on my bed for like a couple of days just doing those combos because I was just mesmerized by World Chalice, but it's not great, sadly. Then we have Zombie. So Zombie Punk is, in my opinion, like the best zombie version right now. So by me placing Zombie somewhere quite high, I am thinking about Zombie Punk. So keep that in mind. Like, this is the only one where I just take another engine and just think about it when I place it. Usually, like I said, I will do everything separately, like Melfi without Sprite down here. But Zombie, I don't think is like even a deck without Punk. I don't think it's really good. Zombie World is like fine and all, but you don't do enough, and the Balerdrock and stuff like that is like way too power creeps to be playing it by itself. So Zombie with Punk, I think, is like the best zombie version to even, like, when you think about zombie, you need to think about Punk as well, I think, because this version is much, much, much stronger. And then we have Zodiac as our last one, and without Trident, it can't do anything, I think. Like, it's cool as a Zeus turbo, but I think it shouldn't go higher than not good. Let's just decide where we want to place it, because, oh, let's place it over here, I guess. Yeah. Over here is fine. So if we get Dryden back, which might happen on the ban list, because I don't think it's going to change much. Let's just do it like this, so you see everything, hopefully, on the screen. If we get Dryden back, it's going to be much better. And hopefully we do. It would be really, really cool to see. And yeah, that's going to be it. It was much easier than I anticipated it to be. I think the tea really helped me. The tissues and everything. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around if you listened to the entire video. Let me know if there's any deck that I should be including next time. And let me know if you agree or disagree. A couple things changed. So hopefully there's not any weird placings on here, in your opinion. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you liked the video, of course, like it. Sub to the channel. Check out all the social media. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.